What's up guys, Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. If you find value in them, information is in the description to support me. We're gonna break down Saturday, March 3rd. This will also repeat on Thursday, March 15th. So looking at a strength day on the treads, endurance on the rower, and power on the weight floor. We'll talk about the 2G, key concepts, talk about the 3G, and then get you on out of here. So on the treads, we're gonna see 5 blocks. We build from a base to a near all-out effort. Each block gets shorter and we add incline. Your goal is to keep your speeds as the incline goes up. On the rower, we're gonna see a push row in block 1. Rows get longer, block 2, they get shorter. And then on the floor, 2 blocks, all about tempo couplets. We'll have 2 exercises, same muscle group. The first one is explosive, then the second one is a standard tempo movement. For today, no special equipment, but if you have the benches out for options, great idea. So talk about the treads first. In total, 5 blocks. First block is the longest one at 4.5 minutes, and then they have a 90-second recovery. Each block decreases by 30 seconds. So 4:30, 4, 3:30, 3, and then 2:30, okay? What we're gonna see here is a very similar format. We start with a 90-second base, a 90-second push, and then a 90-second push all out, okay? We don't have any true all outs today because these final efforts are always 90 seconds. We want to establish the understanding that we're gonna pick something aggressive that feels uncomfortable for the first 45 seconds to a minute 15, but by the last 15 to 30 seconds, it taps into that very uncomfortable feeling similar to an all out, okay? We don't necessarily need people to increase their speed at the end, but if they definitely feel like they could, then they should have started faster or higher, okay? So once again, we start at base for 90 seconds. For that 90-second push, power walkers 6% or greater, I would also encourage them to try to increase their walk speed for that push and the push all out. Joggers and runners for this push all out, because it's between a push and an all out, if they're not there already, I would say at least 1.5 above their base or 0.1 to 0.5 above what their push was, okay? Power walkers, they recommend 7 to 10%, but same idea. What about that walk speed? Did they add 0.1, 0.2? For the bikes and striders, they start at their base, go to about 3 gears above base, and then either 4 or 5 gears. Personally, if I were on the bike, I would probably do about 4 gears for that 90-second push all out, because 5 gears would be more for something I would do for like about a minute push all out, but that's just me. If people are well conditioned, maybe they do 5, and that's cool. Whatever they do though, in terms of speed, in terms of RPM, we wanna maintain that as we move through the blocks. Now, in block 2, we cut 15 seconds off the push, or the base and the push, okay? So in block 2, 75-second base, 75-second push, push all out is still 90. But as we drop the duration, we add 0.5%, okay? So now 1.5 base climb, followed by a 1.5 push climb. The other thing is the power walkers are increasing their incline as well. So hopefully they did increase their speed and they're trying to use that at a higher incline. And then when they finish that push, they use their normal incline for their push all out as a power walker. Joggers, runners, they go back down to flat road and match their push all out speed from block 1. For blocks 1 and 2, bikes and striders, I would have them use the same gear throughout. When we move to block 3 and 4, for the bikes and striders, I would encourage them to try to go 1 gear higher on the push and maintain the push all out. If they had a little bit of separation, if they did 3-5, try 4-5. And then for the last one, for block 5, 4-6. Potentially, or they hold 5 gears over base for the final push and final push all out in block 5, okay? Block 3, going back a little bit here, now we're doing 1 minute, 2% base, 1 minute, 2% push. And of course, flat road for 90-second push all out. Block 4, 2.5 for both of those, and then block 5 is at a 3% incline, but now it's only 30 seconds. The big thing here is whether it is 90 seconds of flat road of a base push or a 1 minute, 30-second base climb, 30-second push climb, the heart rate response should be very similar, and it should carry through, so that way during that push it's elevated and it stays elevated during that push all out until they finish that 90 seconds, and they definitely need to walk, okay? This is one where as a coach, it's beneficial if you have the memory capacity to remember what people's speeds are, give them that encouragement of, and that shout out for maintaining their speeds throughout the 5 blocks, because it's gonna be very tough. But if you see, you know, Sally is constantly hitting that 6.2 on that push, and by block 5, she's still at 6.2 at 3% incline, way to go, Sally, okay? Looking at the weight floor, we're gonna see 2 blocks here. 10 minutes for block 1. This is gonna incorporate blocks 1 and 2 on the treads. The second block is 12 minutes. This is gonna incorporate blocks 3, 4, and 5 on the treads, okay? So for the first block on the floor, primary lower body focused, we're gonna see sumo squat to upright row with power. So the wider stance, 2 dumbbells, squat down slow, 2 counts down, 1 count up, quickly drive those elbows up. They have 8 reps, and that's gonna pair up with a sumo deadlift. So sumo squat, hips go down, sumo deadlift, hips pull back. So they're gonna target more of the hamstrings and glutes versus quads and the adductors. They'll do those 2 movements, 16 total reps, take a break, and then strap bridge row for 8. Now the main thing with that bridge row, yes, it's upper back, but they're holding that glute bridge position to get hamstring and glute recruitment. So it is gonna fatigue those. After that strap movement, they go to the rower, 100-meter push row. They'll do it all again. For round 2, it's now 300 meters, and then on round 3, 500 meters. The goal here is to maintain push intensity. So one thing I would recommend is for this block specifically, split time would be a hard one to use to gauge because that 100-meter row is pretty short. So similar to the Friday, maybe average watts would be something to focus on, or their instant watts, okay? Now block 2, we flip the script. Now we're doing upper body work. We're gonna see hand release push up with an explosive tempo. So 2 counts down, lift the hand up, and as soon as our hands touch, explosively drive up. For this one, if options are needed, what I would recommend, off the knees on the way down. Once they pick their hands up, have the knee stay on the ground as they go to like a knee push up as they press up. But once they're fully locked out, pop up those knees so they're back to that high plank position, then lower down. That's gonna give them more opportunity to train that full range of motion on that eccentric. Then they're gonna flip over, floor chest press. Personal opinion, I'm not too much of a fan of it because it does reduce range of motion. Since you only get about halfway down, you don't get that true stretch in the chest. If you have benches out, you could have people do a chest press on the bench. Just be very mindful of the fact that they're also gonna be on the strap next. So if space is a concern, just something to be aware of. So they'll do those 2 movements, they rest, and then strap tricep extension. So definitely targeting back of the arms, but also core as they try to maintain that strong plank position. Now we're gonna see a 500-meter push row that will decrease every round. Now that because we start at a longer row distance, definitely use split time, because once again, that will give them that education of, hey, this is your split time, that's how long it's gonna take you to do your first row. When they come back, find that split time, keep it there. You're gonna finish anyways because it's shorter, because it's 300 meters, but let's maintain your split time or decrease split time, which means an increase of power. Once they finish 3 rounds, then they're just repeating the exercises. Their finisher is going to be for the final 90, bridge row for 45, and then flip over tricep extension for 45, and then they're done. Now, when we look at the 3G, treads are gonna see 4 blocks, rowers and weight floors, 1 long block. On the tread side, similar to the 2G, first block is the longest one. It establishes the efforts. The big difference here is we're gonna start with 75-second efforts of the base push and push all out. And then instead of going up by 0.5% block to block to block, we're going up by a full percent. So we'll start with 75 base push all out, 1 minute base climb at 2, 1 minute push climb at 2, 75 push all out, 45 base at 3, 45 push at 3, and then 30 base at 4, 30 push at 4. The other thing is there's only a 45-second walk recovery after each block. This one's gonna be pretty spicy, pretty tough. Same idea though, set the intentions of what they're trying to maintain and maintain it through all 4 as the durations get shorter and the incline kicks it up. Now when we look at the rower, we're gonna see 3 parts here. Part 1, they have 3 rounds, 100-meter push row with lateral hops. Each round increase the row by 200 meters, so 100, 200, or 100, 300, 500, okay? Once they finish that, they move to part 2, 700-meter push row. We have the lateral hops again, but now we add the foot exchange. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, jump and switch. They're only doing that once, thank God. Then they work their way back down. Now we do a 500-meter row and the foot exchange. 3 rounds, just like in the first part. So you'll see 500, 300, 100. After that last set of foot exchanges, they're at the bonus and they row until the finisher. The goal here is to complete as much of the block as possible to elevate the experience. On the way up, can we maintain power output? So can we maintain split time? On the way down, can we decrease split time? Okay. Their finisher is to keep working all the way through. If they make it through all the rounds and they're on the bonus, they're working to increase intensity for the final minute 15. So hopefully join the treads in a push all out effort on that row. For the weight floor, we're gonna see the same back-to-backs as the 2G. So upright row with power, sumo deadlift, rest, strap bridge row, and then hand release push-up, floor chest press, rest, strap tricep extension. Gucci. Their finisher, same finisher as the 2G, bridge row for 45, tricep extension for 45. There you go, that's your Saturday, May 3rd and Thursday, May 15th workout. Any feedback, let me know. Other than that, you got this. Coach it down.